In this video, we are simplifying algebraic fractions when there's a multiply or a divide sign in between the two fractions. So we're going to start by having a look on the first example. So here we have got the first example, which is x over 3 divide, and that would be 3 over 2. Remember that when we have two fractions written and between them is a divide symbol, so we're going to change that into the multiply. So the first fraction stays the same. So what we have got the first fraction is, which is x over 3. It would remains the same. But we're going to flip the second fraction. So this is the second fraction. We are flipping the second fraction. So it means if it's written as 3 over 2, we'll be writing down as 2/3. Now what you can do is, you see that, are you able to simplify anything? So we're going to see that, can we do some simplification? So we have got x and 2 in the numerator. We have got 3 and 3 written in the denominator. So you multiply the top with the top, and you're going to multiply the bottom with the bottom number. So when you do x times 2, you would have 2x. When you do 3 times 3, you would have 9. And that's the simplification of the whole thing. Now looking to the next example now, we have got 4x over 9y times 7x over 6y. So now having this, what we are doing is now we'll be getting, now we see that we don't have anything common in the numerator or the denominator. So the simplification of that would simply be, we cannot simplify anything, but we multiply the top with the top and we multiply the bottom with the bottom. So 4 times 7, we're going to start with the numbers now. So 4 times 7 is 28. When we multiply x with x, we'll get x squared on the top. The bottom is 9 times 6 is 54. And the bottom is, the variable is y times y would be y squared. Now we need to see that, are we able to simplify the numbers written on the top and the bottom together? So we have got 28, we have got 54. Do they both goes in the same times table? Whenever you get the even number, it's always better to make a half of them. It would make your number smaller. So half of 28 is 14x squared, would goes on the top. Half of 54 would be 27y squared. Now you look to 14 and 27 and see that, can you simplify that more? Because you cannot simplify 14 and 27 more, so we cannot do more simplification of the numbers. If you look to the variables on the top and the bottom, they are the different variables, so even you can't simplify the variables as well. So here are the two different examples. So if you have got divide sign, you cannot do the simplification unless you change the divide into the multiply. And whenever the divide sign changes into the multiplication, the second fraction flips. If it's written as a multiplication already, then you just do the simple multiplication where the top fractions multiplies together, the bottom fractions multiply together, and then you simplify the fractions. We're going to have a look to the slight harder one. So we have got the next example written as now. So this is going to be AB over 3 divide 2A over B. Now we see that we have got the divide sign in between here. So the first thing is to change this division sign into multiply. Whenever we change the division sign into multiply, the first fraction would be keep. Then we change the sign and then we flip the second fraction. So when I flip the second fraction, it would be B over 2a. Now once your fractions having a multiply sign in between them, you multiply the top with the top and you multiply the bottom denominators together. So when you multiply the numerators together, ab times b would be ab squared. The denominator would be 6a. Now simplifying the algebraic fractions now, you see that we have got a written on the top, we have got a written on the bottom. We can simplify them together and the final simplification would be 6 over b squared. Because now we don't have any b written in the denominator or we don't have any number written in the numerator, we can't simplify it more, and how it is given is the most simplified fraction. Showing you the next example now on simplifying algebraic expression when there's a plus or when there's a multiply or divide symbol between them. So here's the next example now. We are having x minus 4 over 8. There's a times 2, 3, x minus 12. Now clearly you can see that it is slight complex because we have got some brackets as well. So we're going to first expand out the bracket and then we'll be following the same thing as we have done with the previous question. So we are having x minus 4 over 8 is the first fraction. Between is a multiply sign already. 2, You expand out the bracket would be 3x minus 36. Now what we're going to do is now we're going to multiply the numerator with the numerator, and we're going to multiply the denominator with the denominator. So once we're going to multiply the numerator with the numerator, we'll be having 2. Because this 2 we're going to multiply with x and 4, I'm going to write it down x minus 4 like this, and this 8 is multiplying with both the terms, so I'll be writing it down in a bracket form. Now we're going to expand the bracket, and expanding bracket means we'll be multiplying the number written outside the bracket with the numbers written inside the bracket. To do that multiplication, when you do 2 times x, you will get 2x minus 2 times 4 is 8, which is there in the numerator. And the denominator would be, or you can do one more thing here. I just realized that I'm going to rub this off and see that we are having a numbers written. Okay, we're having a numbers written 2 and 8. We can simplify them here. This is 1, this is 4. So we divide both of them by 2. So we get the simplification of 1 and 4 here. We further see that there's a 3 written here. There's a 36 written here. We can do the simplification. Alright, now going on to the next example. So we have got the next example now, which is example number 4. And doing with example number 4, we are having x plus 3 over x plus 2 divide x plus 1 over x plus 2. Now clearly we can see that this is a slight complex question because we have got the numbers and the variables written together. The first thing I noticed that there's a divide sign in between, so I need to change the divide sign into multiply. So when I try to change the divide sign into the multiplication, we keep the first fraction, so x plus 3 and x plus 2 would remain the same, but we flip the second fraction. So instead, we write it down x plus 1 over x plus 2. We'll be flipping the fraction and writing it down x plus 2 and x plus 1. Now we do the step of the simplification. So we have got x plus 2 and x plus 2 in the numerator as well as in denominator. Because they are the same terms, they're going to cancel together, and we'll be coming out with x plus 3 on the top and x plus 1 in the denominator. Showing you the next example now, which is one of the really harder one. So this is the next example now, which is example number 5. And with example number 5, we have been given 11 over 4x squared plus 2x divide 3 2x plus 1. Well, we can see that we have got the quadratic, we have got the linear. So the first fraction has got the quadratic denominator. The second fraction has got the linear denominator. So we need to do the factorization. Whenever we see the quadratic expression, we need to do the factorization there. So 11 over, can we do any sort of factorization with them? What I can take as a common from them. So with the numbers, I can take 2. With the variables, I can take x, and I'll be getting 2x plus 1 here. There's a divide sign. I'm going to keep the divide sign for now, and the second fraction would be 3 over 2x plus 1. Now, because we have got the divide sign here, what we're going to do with the divide sign is to change that into multiply. We are keeping the first fraction, which is 11 over 2x plus 1. And whenever we change the divide sign into the multiply, we flip the second fraction. So whatever the second fraction written, we're going to flip it. And that would be written as 2x plus 1 over 3. Now, this is the step of simplification. So any terms you see on the top and the bottom is the same, then we can simplify them. So here I see that 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1 are the same terms. So we have simplified them together. Now, what do we have on the top is just 11. In the denominator, we are having two numbers, 2 and 3. We're going to multiply them together, going to be 6, and there's an x here then. So this is a simplification of the complex fraction which has got between as a division sign. Showing you the next example now, which is going to be x squared plus 7x plus 10. The denominator is 2. Then there's a divide sign here. There's x squared plus 4x minus 5. And the denominator of the second fraction is 4. Now we see that we have got two fractions written, and they both are written with the quadratic expression. It means we need to do the factorization with both of them as the first step. Getting into the first step, we're going to write down the two brackets between divide by the 2. There's a divide sign, writing them down again in the two brackets, and there's a 4 here. Now we're going to factorize it. So factorize is there. We need to think of the two numbers. When we multiply them together, we should get 10. When we add them together, we should get 7. So plus 5 and plus 2. We can check it. When I add them together, plus 5 and plus 2, I would get the middle term. When I multiply plus 5 and plus 2, I would get the last term, which is 10. I'm going to do the simplification, factorization of the next quadratic expression as well. So you'll be writing x here and x here. Now we are thinking of the two numbers. When we add them together, we get 4. When we multiply them together, we get minus 5. So it's going to be plus 5 and minus 1. So let's check that. So plus 5 and minus 1 gives us the middle term, which is 4x. When we multiply them together, which is 5 times minus 1 would be minus 5. So this is the factorization. Now again, we're going to look to this division sign and we'll be changing that into the multiplication. We're keeping the first term, which is x plus 5, x plus 2 over 2. We're flipping the second fraction, which is 4 over x plus 5 and x minus 1. Once we did the flipping and changing the sign into the multiplication, now we're going to cancel out the bracket you see are the same in the top and the bottom, or the numbers you see can factorize. So this bracket is the same as this one. They go together. We see that there's a number 2, there's a number 4. We divide the top and the bottom by 2. So for half of 4 is a 2. Now we're having 2 in the numerator. So we'll be getting 2x plus 2 is the numerator. The denominator would be, when you do 2 divided by 2 would be 1. So it's just be x minus 1 then. So this is a topic of simplifying algebraic fractions if there's a divide or a multiply sign in between. And we have seen some number of the questions. What happens if there's a quadratic, if there's a linear, if there's a divide sign, what we do if there's a multiply sign. So I hope this video you find it useful in understanding algebraic fraction simplification. Thank you.